match between the team there, the visitors Bradford Northern and Brian Johnson's Warrington. I'll not hang about, straight into the Bradford team are lining up: Watson, Hall, Shelford, Newlove, Kebby, half-back Summers and Fox, front row Powell, Clark, Gratian, second row Medley and Fairbank, loose forward Heron. Subbing today for Bradford Northern, McGowan and Hamer. The Warrington team, who will shortly be out, will be lining up Penny, Forster, Bateman, Rudd, Harris, Shelford, Mackay, Chambers, Thursfield, Teitzel, Derbyshire, Jackson, Elliott, subbing Sanderson and Mark Hilton. Before we go any further, the contractual obligations. Today's match sponsors, the Warrington 2000 Plus Group. Associate sponsors are Bramall Ford, Match Ball, Simple Technology Limited, and programme sponsors John Ashcroft Painters and Decorators. This game has been billed as the make or break game of the season in the league. We'll have to see about that. There you're seeing on your screens, I'll just sort through my paperwork. Today's mascot, very pleased to see a young girl down here today, and she is Keely Ekret, age 7. She attends St Benedict's Roman Catholic School. Keely's hobbies: watching The Wire, dancing, reading and swimming. Her favourite players at Wilderspool: Jonathan Davis, Greg Mackey, Roland Phillips and Paul Forster. So there she is, young Keely. Thanks to her parents for providing her today. It's a day she'll never forget. Meeting the players, the directors, the tour behind the scenes. If you've got kids, get them in the Wolf Pack and they will be available to be selected for the mascot. I've got with me, made the trek over the Pennines this morning, Malcolm Lane from the Bradford Club. He's going to outline some of the characters who will make a difference today. And have a listen to what he says. He knows his onions.
Yeah, well, good afternoon. And a change this afternoon. Bradford Northern in the home strip. Normally the away strip, but obviously a clash today because of our friends from Sky Television, and Bradford obviously with a lot to prove. I know the lads want to go to Brisbane for that match on the 1st of June, so do the Warrington boys, and Bradford with a lot to put back into the game after that defeat at Headingley last Sunday afternoon against Leeds. So good game in prospect this afternoon, and at Warrington about to get the game underway, and nice travelling army there of the Bradford supporters at this left-hand side of the ground from our commentary position, and of course the Warrington boys at the other end, under the scratching shed I think it's called at that far end.
The Fletcher end, Mal, thanks very much for that. Little bit of an insult chucked in there. Big match atmosphere, should be in evidence today. Pleased to be able to tell you, despite the recent defeats, the crowd's good. Today's match referee, John Connolly from Wigan. Teenage sensation, Yestin Harris gets the game underway, kicks long, fielded in goal. That's Medley in possession, takes a bit of an attic shot. Penalty straight away, Malcolm. Well, I tell you what, if ever a game was likely to erupt, it could be this one.
Yeah, it's funny, we were talking about that a little bit beforehand, and Medley taking a good ball there, putting that little bit of an explosive burst on, and John Connolly in straight away for the high tackle. Let's hope that the game doesn't erupt and we see some good football here at Wilderspool this afternoon.
Well, yeah, I'll second all of that. Vital importance today for both of these teams. There was a comment in the Rugby League media over the weekend that whichever team loses here today can start making noises about the Premiership. That's a bit brutal. Still a lot of games to be played. Wigan have got the whip hand, but it's a strange game. Big attack in midfield. Paul Gratian there, son of Jeff. Played for Bradford for many years. There's another super break. Roy Powell hitting the ball hard. Warrington on the back foot straight away. That's Heron, he's unloaded. Newlove, record signing. Taking the tackle there, just 2 metres shy of the half. John Connolly pulling back the Warrington outfit. There's Fox, has unloaded for Powell again. One of the intriguing battles today between the two scrum halves. Derek Fox, Great Britain's regular scrum half, and Greg Mackey. Here is Fox, he's got a yard in midfield. Opposite number on the tackle, and it's kick time. Peter Fox's men then, currently top of the league with 17 wins. Yestin Harris just keeps his eye on the ball, picks it up in goal, sets off on the run. There's the class of this teen sensation. Have another look at that. Left Neil Summers there like a statue. Here's Forster, currently on 100 tries for the club. Just breaks the quarter line. Boos coming out from the Fletcher end, don't know what that's about. Meanwhile, Gary Chambers takes the tackle. Things calming down somewhat. Here's Teitzel. piling in. Paul Gratian involves himself in the tackle. Still pointless at Wilderspill. Mackey's unloaded for Dave Elliott. Recovered from the concussion he got at Drumhall. There's a bit of a brainless hit in the tackle. Well, I tell you what, that wasn't called for. I'll bring Malcolm in. We've only played 3 minutes, 2 penalties.
Yeah, Dave Heron there, laying on a little bit, and the touch judge straight away spotting Heron. It looks like 10 minutes in the sin bin, so that's a silly thing for Dave Heron to do. Played a couple of minutes into this game, and Bradford down to 12 men, so Bradford are going to be under the cosh for the next 10 minutes, and Heron, no real need for that, but Derek Fox there, just having a word with John Connolly, and it was the elbow that went in as Heron was trying to get up there. So, as we've said, 2 penalties very, very early on in this match, and I think John Connolly's going to have to stamp his authority on this game and not lose it.
Yeah, I quite agree with that. I don't think the incident on its own was worth the 10 minutes, but if it's to show the players he's going to take no messing, you can't argue. So, Tightsul for Thursfield. Mackey with runners, it's Shelford. Shelford looks for the option, Bob Jackson's going. Steams into a big hole in the Bradford defence. Super tackle from Fox. Here's Chambers. Looks for the option, takes the tackle. Excellent rugby league being played. Darryl Shelford on the tackle there. It's Mackey again. Will he lift the kick? Short ball for Tightsul. Gets it out for Shelford. Shelford cuts. Excellent rugby league being played. Super tackle came in there from Medley. This is Mackey again. Dave Elliott's hit the hole. Well, ball has gone backwards. There's a hole. Tightsul steaming through the gap. Looks for the runner out wide. There's a Warrington player out cold in midfield. Touch Judge's arm. I feel we may have had a bit of naughties off the ball. Did you see anything, Malcolm?
I didn't actually see anything there. I was more following the ball play, and I thought Warrington unlucky there that referee Wade play on. The Bradford players seemed to stop dead, expecting a knock on, but golden rule in this game, he plays to the whistle.
Well, Dave Elliott's getting attention from Tony Rothwell. He's got blood streaming down his face. Greg Mackey was the player who was stretched out. Things are going on off the ball. Paul Newlove is the guy getting spoken to, and the Bradford captain, Derek Fox, on hand. So it's another penalty for the Warrington club. Penalties go 2-1. Lots of feeling in the game. If I can put Malcolm on the spot here, many years ago Bradford were known as an uncompromising unit. Since Newlove's turned up, they've played a bit more football, but they're looking to beef it up today.
Yeah, I think one of the things, Peter Fox, in his second spell at Odsall, always had that reputation as a bit of a dour coach, but with his assistant Nigel Stevenson at the moment, we've got the pace in the backs now with the likes of Kebby Newlove, and of course Carl Hall on this wing, signing from Doncaster, and the pack up front to do the bulk of the work. But Bradford, 2 penalties in as many minutes there, and a chance for Warrington to open the scoring, which crucial to get that first score on the board. So Iestyn Harris then, finding himself central on the quarter line. Let's have a look. We're in the 6th minute already. Time flying by. Harris looking to open the Warrington club's account. Dinks the ball up. It's successful. There's your opening score in the 6th minute. A penalty from Iestyn Harris. So here's the restart then. Derek Fox will get the game underway once again. Bradford have gone red line twice, conceded penalties and conceded 2 points. Dave Elliott's gone away to have a little sit in the blood bin. Gary Sanderson wearing 14s on. Another row comes out for the tackle. Kelly Shelford unloads for Sanderson. This is Chris Rudd, who was absent for a long time with a serious injury. Good to see him back. Carl Hall involved in the tackle. Here's Gary Sanderson then, wearing 14, picking up good yardage. Roy Powell involved in the tackle. Roy Powell, former Leeds player, been playing pro rugby since I was about 5. Super run in midfield.
Just the 2 points in the game then. It's a fairly packed Wilderspool. Paul Derbyshire forgets the ball. John Connolly. Sarcastic cheers coming out from the Bradford contingent. I have just said before we got into the commentary, Malcolm, that Bradford may have the edge in the forwards, Warrington may have the edge in the backs.
Yeah, quite possible, but looking at the opening 6 or 7 minutes of this game, Harris on the wing had a nice little break, a beautiful little side step there, and showed a little bit of pace, and Bradford are going to have to be on the metal this afternoon to keep Warrington out in early doors. But Fox getting the ball from Scum, Watson linking up then, Summers a nice little side step inside, Neil Summers got Trevor Clark in support there, but that's a good tackle by the full-back Penny as Northern with Newlove from the acting half-back. Newlove gets a hand off going, steps out of one, but finally hauled down there. It was Bradford coming again with Roy Powell. Powell driving up to the 10-metre mark there, but Warrington just managing to get the troops back as Gratian takes the drive up. Gratian had a good game, 2 or 3 good games this last 3 or 4 weeks as Newlove steps inside, trying to get out of the clutches there, but it's the last tackle signal. There's 4 Warrington players very, very quickly there round the... And a wild pass there from Derek Fox. Picked up well by Medley. Medley on to Hall, and Hall's going to open Bradford's account in the corner there. It was a wild pass from Derek Fox, swept up at the back there by Paul Medley. Medley brought the ball away well, drew the cover coming across, and quick hands by Daryl Shelford give Carl Hall his second try for Bradford Northern since signing from Doncaster. Of course, Carl back in the side this week. He was cup-tied last week against Leeds, but that'll lift the Northern boys up a little bit, and Dave Heron just wandering up and down the touchline, trying to keep warm. Still got quite a while of that 10-minute sin bin, but the Warrington supporters at the far end not happy there, and the boos coming up. But I don't know what they're booing about. It looked quite a good try, that, to me.
Super try, slick hands, well finished off, but there was, in backfield, an off-the-ball obstruction. But whether that affected the outcome, I don't know. Anyway, the score says 4-2, and that's that. Thanks, mate. Well, there's the opening try, well finished off by Hall. Conversion unsuccessful. Warrington restart then, that's Yestin Harris, kicks long. Fox traps it and takes it. Bradford midway inside their own quarter. A super tackle from Gary Chambers. Fox again, that shouts for a forward pass, not given. Tackle on the quarter line, Medley playing the ball. Clark unloads for Powell. Powell dragging defenders with him, refusing to go down. Electric atmosphere here at Wilderspool Stadium. Many days, many evenings this time round at Wilderspool. Been big match fever. It's here now. There's Watson, has unloaded for Summers. Summers caught in possession, Teitzel involved. Paul Derbyshire's injured midfield, getting to his feet. There's Shelford, throws infield. Fox goes to the boot, kicks at Yestin Harris. Bit of indecision. Harris will pick up the ball in goal. Comes out, leaves Fairbank for dead, and is then promptly hammered. Uncompromising game going on right in front of you. Best of British Rugby League today, being brought to you by Micron. Bradford keeping Warrington penned in their own quarter. Here's Mark Forster looking to go. Gratian involved in the tackle. So Warrington trying to regroup. This is Mackey, Kelly Shelford, Chris Rhodes. Excellent tackle coming in there from Daryl Shelford. This is Sanderson. Dave Elliott still in the blood bin. Bob Jackson there. Working a miracle to take a short ball. Plays it to himself. Lifts the kick. Goes long. Dave Watson sets Kiwi, tidies up at full-back and sets off running. Tremendous tackle came in from Bateman. The ball's still alive. Brian McKebby. Kebby with a good run there. It's Fox again. Watson's infield. Teitzel's got hold of him. The score remains 4-2. Thankfully, the penalties seem to have abated somewhat right in front of us. Daryl Shelford's getting treatment. Mr. Heron has appeared from the naughty cupboard. Will soon come back onto the park. There's Fox. Bradford moving it super style. Newlove has gone. Paul Newlove. Greg Mackey pulling up a try-saving tackle. Bradford with the foot on the gas. Here's Fox again for Powell. Powell caught in possession. Here's Malcolm.
Yeah, Bradford there. If Big Roy could have let that ball out, there looked to be a certain try, but Derek Fox with the drop goal. That was on the last tackle, and Foxy, using all his craft and all his guile there, extends Northern's lead by a further point, but Dave Heron back on the park now, so Bradford back up to full strength, and not really missed Dave Heron, but could have been crucial. Warrington in the game. Like the look of this young lad on the wing, Harris. He's got a nice sidestep. He left Carl Fairbank for dead underneath the post there, and it looks like the blood bin coming to an end, so Elliott returning and Gary Sanderson coming back off, so the running repairs as Harris restarts the game. That's a good long ball, but taken well there by Dave Watson. Offloads the ball to Medley as Medley tries to get the handoff going, trying to round Shelford, but Elliott it was that pulled him down as Fairbank looking to offload there, showing the ball as Summers on to Fox. Fox will bring Powell onto the drive, the big fella turning his back, but Warrington doing a good job there, clamping man and ball. Gratian offloads a nice ball to Clark, and Clark been quite busy in this opening quarter. Wasn't due down to play today, picked up an injury to his ear last week in that Silk Challenge Cup quarter-final at Headingley, but quite a surprise that Clark on the pitch today and held down there, so the resulting penalty to Northern as Derek Fox puts the ball into touch on that far side, some 35 metres from the Warrington line as Gratian takes the drive up again. Powell, big fella, been coming into his own recently in this last 2 or 3 weeks, making some storming breaks as Northern with the little plan move on, the little switch round. Medley gets the handoff going again, but gets out of one, gets out of two, but finally falls there to a good tackle by Elliott. Heron back on the park now. Heron props, straightens up, but no way through this time for the 36-year-old. 36 this week is Summers from the acting half-back. Little darting run, but once again it's the last tackler. We're going to see Derek Fox chip the ball over as Watson comes in. Basketball over the top, the ball out. Picked up by Kebby. Kebby keeping the ball alive. But that's going to be the handover there as Bradford trying to keep that ball alive, and Warrington with a set of 6 now to try and move their way out of their own 22 as Bob Jackson takes the drive up.
So much needed respite then for the Warrington defence. Bradford not kicking the ball there on the last tackle, trying to force a gap with the running move. However, there's a penalty. Warrington will have a full set of 6 from 7 metres within the Bradford half. That's Teitzel, well tackled by Gratian. Teitzel for Thursfield, for Mackey, for Chambers. Chambers tackled instantly. Fairbank on the tackle, another GB player in the Bradford ranks. Here's Shelford. Chris Rudd hitting the ball hard. Powell on the tackle. Score remains Warrington 2, Bradford Northern 5. Here's Mackey then. Craig Teitzel attacking the quarter, gets it out. That's Penny. Lee Penny stepping. Lee Penny wriggles his way for 5 good metres. Warrington taking it further and further into striking range in the 17th minute. There's Alan Bateman. The ball's come out. It's possession for Bradford Northern then in their own quarter. Kebby off his wing, took the ball. There's a knock on. Advantage will go to Bradford Northern at the scrum down. Warrington presently third in the Stones Bitter Championship with 16 wins. Bradford top with 17 wins. Everything to be played for so far this afternoon at Wilderspool. Bradford have lost only one of their last 4 visits here to Wilderspool and beat Warrington 22-4 there last season and thrashed them earlier this season. However, that's all history. Ball comes away from the scrum. Scrum count 2-0 for the visitors. Penalty count 3-2 for the home team. Score 2-5. There's Heron. Had 10 minutes in the naughty cupboard, now back on the field. Here's Paul Newlove. Switch sides, tackled by opposite number, former Kells player Chris Rudd. So it's Clark. Here's Gratian. Paul Derbyshire gets in a special, assisted by Chambers, so it's Gratian for Clark for Fox. Fox unloads. Summers, juggling act. Possession for the wire. Alan Bateman, played for Wales on Friday night, has dropped the ball again. Well, there's a technical offence, penalty for the Warrington club. Professional foul there. Penalties go 4-2. If I'm correct, Malcolm, that was for keeping hold of the player when the ball had gone. Why wasn't a yellow card produced?
It was Dave Heron again, and I think the referee's signal there was that Heron knocked the ball out as he was going forward. Bad mistake by Neil Summers. Looks as though he'd got the ball in his hands and probably took his eye off, looking at the man coming in, spilled the ball, and chance for Warrington. And I don't know, I think referee would have sent him off if he'd have felt a professional foul, because Heron's already had that 10 minutes in the sin bin.
Well, there's the words from Malcolm Lane from Bradford. We don't want to see anybody sent from the park, but I think Mr. Heron should have learned by now. He's had one yellow card. You can't get two, you get a red one. However, Justin Harris looking to close the game down to 1 point. Let's have a look at the clock. Now in the 20th minute, just on quarter time. Harris finding himself 23.5 metres out, maybe 9 metres to the right of the post as he looks. No wind to speak of here at Wilderspool Stadium. This game going out live to the nation via Sky. Up to now, it's been a good advert for British Rugby League. Justin Harris then, a man who will be around for the next 12 or 15 years. Glittering future ahead of him, looking to put two on the board right now. Strikes well. It's successful. Score goes 4 points to 5 in the 20th minute. So there's your restart once again. Warrington 4, Bradford 5, 20 minutes played. Stones Bitter Championship, almost a deciding game. Championship last year was decided on points difference. That tells you how important this is. Bob Jackson there runs into Roy Powell. So it's Thursfield. It's Teitzel with a head of steam up, crashing into the defensive line, picking up big yardage. Medley on the tackle. It's Thursfield, Shelford, Bateman. Newlove on the tackle, bit of an attic shot. Match official letting the game progress. This is Forster, driving hard, running like a forward. Kick time for Brian Johnson's men then. Look for the skyer, it will be Mackey. Kicks into the pocket, Carl Hall wears two. Takes it good style, good defensive chase. Solid hit from Chris Rudd and Paul Derbyshire. Paul Derbyshire enjoying himself there. Here's Fox, Clark, correction Watson. Teitzel involved in the tackle. When Teitzel hits them, they're going nowhere. Here's Gratian. Chambers involved, game settled down now. Nothing between these two hard-working teams. Roy Powell disappears there. A metre shy of the half, score 4-5. Rugby League Championship at stake, it's Heron. Heron taking an upstairs shot. Match official missed it. It's kick time then for Bradford Northern. Fox right-footed, chips long. Lee Penny takes it at mid-off. Turns and looks. Powerful runner Lee Penny looking for a yard. Throws a dummy. Takes the first tackle. He's back on his feet. Penny picks up another 5 metres. Warrington then will build long. Atmosphere crackling at Wilderspool. Justin Harris running. Tackle effected there, Powell involved. Ball goes midfield for Jackson. Cuts play, takes the first tackle. Warrington stacked deep to their left. Chambers unloads for Shelford. Shelford for Elliott. Massive tackle comes in there. Tremendous tackle from Medley. Here's Shelford. Kelly Shelford chips the defence. Dave Watson's on duty. Does a great job. Shows you a step. Steps again, unloads for Fox. Tremendous flow in rugby league from Bradford Northern there. Bradford pressing hard. Here's Malcolm.
Yeah, Dave Watson took that ball well. It's Newlove on the drive now, but Watson so elusive from that broken play running and offloaded the ball to Fox, but Fox just not able. And once again, a little bit of a loose pass there by Bradford, but swept up by the big fellas. Carl Fairbank just complaining to the referee that somebody was in offside position as Heron tries to get him. Medley, a nice ball off to Shelford, but good tackle on Shelford there by Elliott as the gap looked to be opening there for Hall, but Bradford on the drive again with Gratian, the little run round with Fox. Bradford keeping the ball going. They've got the overlap on that far side. Newlove steps inside, but good cover tackle there. Newlove was heading for the line there, but it was Thursfield who got across to him as Northern come again on the last tackle. Fox, the little grubber kick. That's a try for Dave Watson. Referee's given the try there. It was once again that little crafty Fox kick, that little crossfield kick, and Dave Watson anticipating there, read what his skipper was going to do, and Watson just had a fall on the ball over the line, caught the Warrington defence all on one of those there, but once again on the sixth tackle, Bradford come up with the goodies and get a try when Warrington were expecting some sort of kick, but Bradford managing to keep that ball rolling. And Fox a chance to add a further two among the leading goal scorers in the Stones bidder, and Fox finds the centre of the post, so Warrington 4, Bradford Northern 11 as we come up to 25 minutes gone on the clock, and the substitution, it's going to be Gary Chambers, Craig Teitzel that's coming off, the big number 10. Might have been that tackle from Medley, that big hit on Medley. So Hilton into the fray here this afternoon, and once again a good game in prospect. John Conley there just stopping the clock, obviously looking for a ball. So it'll be Harris to restart the game after that super try there by Bradford Northern, as the Northern contingent on our left hand side start to get behind the players. Watson takes the ball, offloads on to Fairbank as Fairbank just takes the drive up there, and Hilton with his first tackling as Northern come with Summers. The little mismove there as Summers stepping there, and Heron prop straightens up again, but this time the cover coming across with Bob Jackson. Jackson always tends to have a good game against Bradford. I've seen Jackson play some super games and turn on Man of the Match awards against Bradford Northern, both here at Wilderspool and over at Odsal, and that's a nice little raking kick there by Derek Fox as Penny just traps the ball this time, and the chase is up there. Fox, the kicker of the ball, and the man to do the tackle as Harris once again stepping about, trying to duck and bob and weave, but Shelford effecting the tackle on him. Hilton takes the drive up, but the big fella Roy Powell in there hauls him down. So Warrington coming again, once again a big hit by Medley. That's the second one this afternoon as referee signalling the last tackle, and Warrington a little bit sixes and sevens as the chasers were up there quick, and finally a good relieving kick there, and that ball just trickles into touch on the Bradford 22. Could have been a little bit of danger there as Warrington were messing about with that ball, and the chasers up very, very quickly.
Yeah, Malcolm, my heart was in my mouth there. It seemed to take 3 weeks to sort the kick out. Bradford Northern have looked to me at this point as though they feel as though they can dictate the game in the forwards, and they're shutting down the Warrington attack well. We're not seeing much of the wide boys, Malcolm.
No, not as yet, and Hall there, just little mismove there as Watson came in, and Carl Hall doing well to take that pass as Heron prop steps inside again, but Kelly Shelford there and Bob Jackson, the man to halt the progress. Hall got Medley outside him, but just couldn't get out of the clutches there of Chris Rudd. Bradford still in their own half of the field as Grayson takes the drive up. Little mismove there, Fairbank. The long floated ball out to Newlove. Newlove gets the handoff going. Newlove in the clear, but a good try-saving tackle there as Newlove looked to make the gap, and Fox drives a long ball down into the Warrington half of the field, but that ball just going out over the dead ball line, so that'll be a 22 tap to Warrington, but Newlove showing that he's got the step, as Harris has done this afternoon in this game. So Warrington now need to work the ball back into the Bradford half of the field. Hilton takes the drive. Good tackle there that forced that ball out. It was Medley again that hit Hilton there with full force, bringing that ball out as Hall takes the ball from the acting halfback, gets out of one, but finally goes down. So Bradford with another set of 6 now to Powell. Big fella takes the drive. Nice ball onto Trevor Clark. Clark up to the 22. So Bradford, will we see a move on now? Fox is on the run. Out to Heron. Heron prop steps inside. Looking for the runners coming on the inside, but just couldn't release that ball. Fox once again, the little run round with Grayson. That little dummy. So all on to Watson, but Watson putting the pass down. That ball still bobbling, weaving about. Warrington managed to sweep up at the second time, but Harris coming away with the ball again, but straight into the waiting arms there off Carl Fairbank. Hilton driving up, but Heron, Fairbank and Grayson all there to halt the progress. So, half an hour gone on the clock as Warrington mount another attack, come driving down the middle, and a bit of a body check there from Carl Fairbank that brought the ooze from the crowd as that ball popped over the top by Greg Mackey, and the wind, is it going to take the ball? Watson a little bit lackadaisical there, so he's got a lot of running to do, and the chase is up very, very quickly. Dave Watson thought that ball was going to go dead as Kebby trying to get out. Watson once again, but Warrington up very, very quickly. That's 3 tackles gone now as Warrington put the pressure on Norden as Grayson needs to drive the ball, offloads to Heron, but Bradford going nowhere at the moment as 4 tackles gone now as the Warrington chases up very, very quickly. Fox puts the boot to the ball. That's play on because that hit a Warrington play. Bradford on the break. Derek Fox has got Newlove with him. Newlove's going for the corner. Newlove stretching the legs, and Paul Newlove scores a super try. It was a little bit of a lucky kick over the top. Bradford with all the pressure on. 4 tackles, couldn't clear their own line. Derek Fox kicked the ball over the top, took a deflection off a Warrington player. Carl Fairbank collected the ball, unleashed the Bradford attack, and Paul Newlove finishing off a length of the field try. That was terrific rugby from Bradford. A little bit of luck, but there again, that's what the game's all about. About 5 minutes to go on our stopwatch to half-time. So Harris will restart the game, elects to kick the opposite side this time as Watson and Medley there, and Medley just shaking his head as Watto ran into him and took the sail out of Mr. Medley's wings, but Shelford coming in to help his forwards out, takes the first drive up for Norden. Fox in at first receiver. The ball onto Heron. Heron props, straightens up again, looks for the support, but just couldn't offload that ball as Bob Jackson effected a good tackle, but Clark now from the acting halfback gets the ball onto Powell. Powell drops the ball over the top. That'll be play on, back to 1. Touched the Warrington man as Clark offloaded that ball around the body there. So Norden with another set of 6s. Grayson just takes that first drive up, settles the game down a little bit. Norden working the short side. Heron once again drops the ball off, taken by Clark. Clark just Hauled down by the collar there by Hilton, but Watson this time. Watson drops the ball off to Medley. Medley got 3 defenders round him. Grayson's in the clear. Grayson's driving them off. Bad pass, but referee says play on as Kebby spins round. He's got Newlove on the outside. Kebby should have offloaded the ball the first time, and a grateful interception there.
Scrum count 3-0 for the visitors. Score 4-15. Warrington could do with a full score before the break to keep themselves within range. There's Thursfield. Bradford Northern, everything that could have gone their way has. The bounce of the ball, one thing or another, but that's Pro Rugby League. Gary Chambers there, driving in at the quarter line. Look for the ball to go through Mackey for Shelford. Shelford looks for runners, finds Penny. Penny takes the tackle. Darryl Shelford on the tackle. This is Mackey again, in traffic. Summers getting the tackle in, the ball comes out. Again. Below us, a number 12 board, which is Bob Jackson's number, is being held aloft. Gary Sanderson, wearing 14, will be coming onto the park. Tries in the 8th minute for Hall, the 24th minute for Watson, the 32nd minute, they'll enter the field job for Newlove. Score reading 4-15. So that's Jackson off, Sanderson on. That'll be tactical. Bob Jackson will be getting a breather. We'll be back in the second half. There's another scrum for the visitors. Scrum count 4-0 in their favour. This is Dave Watson, looking to get the ball away, allowed to do so. Heron, former Leeds player, in possession for Clark. Here's Powell. Chambers getting involved on defensive duties with Sanderson. Time running down. We'll have a quick look at the clock in the 37th minute of 40. 11 points in it for all the fun and games that we've had. That's less than 2 full scores. There's Fox unloading. Hilton in the tackle. John Connolly's got his right arm raised. Kick time then for Peter Fox's men. Splits Harris and Penny. It will be Yestin Harris. Defensive chase is A1. Harris spins through one tackle, stays upright, takes the second tackle from Fox. Derek Fox on the tackle there. This is Lee Penny. Correction, Alan Bateman. Commentator struggling. Here's Sanderson. Taking a tackle there. 10 metres shy of the half. We've seen very little of the runners in the blue and yellow. Here's Shelford for Rudd. Chris Rudd has a space. Yestin Harris has the ball. Harris stops, tries to cut in field. Harris's foot was in touch. Grayson's getting on with the game. Grayson manages to stay in field under a positive avalanche of defence. Harris's foot was in touch. You have a look. The game's progressing. Here's Fox for Heron. Heron cuts play, runs at Thursfield and Chambers. Tackles effected. Dying minutes now of the first half at Wilderspool Stadium. Bradford still attacking. This is Powell. Derbyshire gets a big shot in. Rudd joins the party. So is Trevor Clark. Short run. Fox unloads. There's Fairbank. Dragging defenders with him. Once again, Warrington 4, Bradford Northern 15. 3 tries to 0 for the visitors. Neil Summers on the charge there. Kick time. Look for the Skyer in front of a packed Fletcher end. It will be a drop goal attempt. John Connolly raises the flag in the 39th minute. It goes 4-16. So the restart goes long as usual. Man of the match so far for Bradford in the first half. Medley comes out there. Recap the score. Warrington 4, Bradford 16. 2 full scores in the game. Thursfield effecting a tackle there. That's Clark for Grayson. Grayson drives in, unloads for Fox. Fox is definitely having one of those afternoons where everything goes right. Dave Watson's gone. Trevor Clark has Primer Kebby unloads a forward pass. Length of the field attack. John Connolly's letting things go. Bradford with the foot down, pressing hard. David Heron crashes in under the post. I'll let Malcolm describe the try.
Well, once again, it was the long-running break there by Bradford. Dave Watson linking up. Trevor Clark showing a good turn of speed. I thought Clark, he could have gone on his own there, got the ball over the top to Kebby. Kebby just hauled down, but a quick play of the ball. Carl Fairbank in, and Dave Heron up in support. Plonked the ball between the posts for another try for Bradford. That's 20 points now for Bradford. Right on the stroke of half-time, and that could be a demoralising thing for Warrington to go in. It's always the thing that's said, that team scoring on half-time takes a lot for the coaches in that dressing room at half-time to get the boys back in the mood. But Northern in rampant mood today in this opening half, and Derek Fox with his third goal of the afternoon, plus a couple of drop goals, gives Bradford that commanding lead as we approach that half-time hooter. Warrington 4, Bradford Northern 22.
Well, what you're saying, Malcolm, is correct, but it's a bit difficult for Greg Mackey to show what he can do without the ball. Anyway, 3 full scores in the game, sets us up for a big second half. Bradford looking good at the moment, Malcolm.
So Medley taking that drive out. On to Summers. Summers been busy this afternoon. Been making good yardage and still trying to get out of the tackle there, but Hilton it is that finally comes over and puts the Bradford standoff down. Powell takes the drive up again, makes the customary 7 or 8 yards that the big fella does every time he seems to get that ball. Fox on to Heron. Heron the try score. Heron with the little dummy again. Little shimmy, but nowhere through this time. As Sanderson pulled him down. Watson on the ball now. Offloads to Newlove as Newlove comes back in field, but 3 Warrington defenders very, very quickly wrap the Bradford centre up. Kick time for Bradford as Fox puts the long ball down the field, but straight down the throat of Lee Penny as Penny sets off, and Gratian, not one of the quickest men, but he was the first man up there chasing. Halted Lee Penny's progress as Warrington bringing the ball away again with Mark Forster, but Gratian had a good first half for Bradford. Chambers taking the drive up, offloaded the ball well as Mackey sells the little dummy, steps inside Powell. Little bit of a loose pass there, but swept up at the back by Warrington, and referee signals back to another set of 6 for Warrington as the ball, nice little injury to Shelford. Shelford's in the clear, but Heron back with a try-saving tackle. That could have been tried right on the stroke of half-time for Warrington. Warrington driving again. Rudd it was, but good tackle as the Bradford defence got across. Sanderson taking the drive up there, but the Bradford defence holding out. Mackey drops the ball off inside to Chambers. Warrington trying to keep this ball alive. Elliott on the ball, offloads again, and this ball like a hot potato as Kelly Shelford sets off again at the defence. Finally the move brought to a halt. A lot of passing there, a lot of endeavour, but we're on the last tacklers. Mackey takes the ball inside, the little chip through, but Watson sweeps up there underneath his own post, so the danger over for Bradford as the half-time hooter goes here at Wilderspool. Very, very entertaining first half. Bradford in total command, and the Northern supporters on our left-hand side just letting the players know they appreciate what they've seen in this first half. So, half-time here at Wilderspool. It's Warrington 4, Bradford Northern 22.
Wilderspool for the second half. Bradford Northern with a big lead thanks to today's sponsors, the 2000 Plus Crew, Bramall Ford, Simple Technology and John Ashcroft Painters and Decorators. Sanderson's in possession there in midfield. Half-time score is Warrington 4, Bradford 22. Bradford calling the shots by 4 tries to 0. You didn't hear much from me in the first half. Well, if Warrington can stitch something together, I might get a word in. Everything went Bradford's way, but you make your luck in First Division of the Stones Bitter Championship. Warrington with it all to do, and need to do it big. Gary Sanderson taking the tackle there. There's Bateman. Sloppy ball. Mark Hilton tidies it up. Paul Newlove scored out of a brilliant try in the first half. On the tackle there, here's Thursfield. Mackey. Bateman, he's boxed in, goes to the boot. Watson tidies up super style at the back, breaks the quarter, still alive, cuts in field, still going, has a big gap, it's Trevor Clark, and a super tackle.
Well, Bradford once again showing the breakout there, the broken play running of Watson, so Norden back on the attack now as Heron floats the ball over to Carl Hall. Hall looks as though he's gone into the centre there, and Daddle Shelford onto the wing, but Norden with the same 13 on the park in this second half that finished that super first half. Fox, the little run round with Gratian, this time Gratian offloading, not taking the ball up himself. Neil Summers from the acting halfback, little darting run, that's good yardage by the Bradford standoff. Just outside the Warrington 22, Fox onto Heron. Heron prop straightens up again, but hauled to the ground there by Mark Hilton, and it's the last tackle signalled. Fox once again with the drop goal, but that time the ball just sliding out to the right hand side of the upright, so that'll be 22 tap for Warrington. 2 balls on the park again as referee didn't see that. Warrington offload the ball there, good yardage made by Mark Foster. I'll hand you back to Bill now. Warrington on the drive.
Yes, Warrington keeping hold of one of the balls out there on the field at the moment. There's Mackey for Derbyshire. Derbyshire turns into the tackle, move breaks down. If Warrington are to get anything out of this game, they must get a converted try, quick style. Shelford breaks the half, drives it in. Triple tackle involving Fox. Here's Mackey. Cuts play. Ball on the far side, Chris Rudd. Described by his teammates as the strongest player here at Wilderspool. Meanwhile, Shelford's chipped the defence. Sits up nicely for Watson. He takes it in and he's going. Takes a bit of a risky upstairs tackle. The game's going on. This is Clark again. Great pace for a hooker. Dave Elliott gets the tackle in. Bradford moving the ball quickly. This is Newlove. Crash tackle right in front of you. Gary Chambers. Brimmer Kebby needs his fillings doing after that. Here's Gratian midfield. You can expect the first 10 minutes now to be somewhat fiery. As usual, there's Heron, got a yellow card early on in the game. Medley there has been outstanding, unloads. Warrington chasing the game and chasing the ball. Fox takes the tackle from Derbyshire. It is kick time then for the league leaders. Half-time score from Hilton Park. Wigan are losing, so that intensifies the importance of this game, and the ball rolls out. That'll be a tap restart on the quarter line. Warrington have not been having things their own way in the last month. Took the big defeat at Headingley, defeat at Thrum Hall. Have not played since, need to get back in the groove. Lee Penny, the under-21 Great Britain fullback, takes a tackle there. Here's Mark Hilton, taking a crunch tackle from Carl Fairbank, GB tourist. Here's Chambers, rampaging, John Thursfield. Ball was behind him, possession for Bradford.
Well, once again, a mistake there by Warrington. Bradford down on that ball as Gratian takes the drive up into the centre of the park. Clark once again from the acting half-back. Had a busy little game this afternoon around that play the ball there. He made good yardage for Norden as Dave Heron. Heron props once again, straightens up. And Heron looking to offload, looking for the runners coming, but Warrington doing a good job there, clamping man and ball. Gary Chambers it was, as Derek Fox. Fox, the little dart, straightens up. He's got Medley in support. Medley just couldn't get out of the clutches there, and it's the last tackle signal once again as the long ball out. Watson chips the ball across the face, but that's picked up on the far side. It was meant for Carl Hall in that corner. So Warrington, chance to move the ball out of their own 22, and that's good running by Chambers. Makes good yardage.
Yeah, Slips it out for Kelly Shelford. Shelford takes the tackle, gets the ball away. Well, John Connolly, adjudging the ball went forward. It was 50-50. The ref says it's a knock-on. That's the end of the story. Well, things threatening to carry on as they did in the first half here at Wilderspool Stadium. Scrum will form 10 metres inside the Warrington half. Fox will feed, should take possession, and will look to instigate the Bradford three-quarters again.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. It looks like Dave Watson just having a little bit of attention there to a knock on the knee, Marie on the part, but Norden coming up with the ball as Carl Hall looked to sell the little dummy, gets the good ball back inside as Warrington failed to put him to ground, but Neil Summers, still the strength there of Summers, but finally the move halted as the big fella Powell takes the drive, but good tackle again there by Gary Chambers on Roy Powell as Norden with a little run round onto Fairbank. Fairbank offloads there, bit of a risky pass, but swept up well by Heron at the back. And Norden a little bit at sixes and sevens as Gratian takes the drive up again. Good, strong running by the Bradford prop. Fox drops the ball inside to Fairbank. Fairbank looking to offload. He got Fox on the run round there and never played the ball there, but referee not watching the game as Heron straightens up, chips the ball through, and Warrington finally sweep up at the back, but referee's going to halt the play there. Bad mistake there by John Connolly, Bill. Never even saw that, not playing the ball of Bradford Norden, but there again, you play to the whistle.
You sure do, you play to the whistle. I can forgive John Connolly the odd mistake, but that was a basic schoolboy type error job. However, no good moaning about that. Game progresses. On my sheet, the scrum count is 6-0 for the visitors. I don't remember Warrington winning a scrum down. Score remains 4:22. The clock says we're in the 8th minute of the second half. Warrington need to get points on the board in this second half. Quick style, we'll have to build long. Here's Gary Chambers taking a massive tackle there. Paul Medley again, he's tackled his heart out this afternoon. Here's Kelly Shelford, Rudd, Shelford, Penny. New Love affects the tackle. Warrington putting something together then to cheer their supporters. However, it's kick time. Mackie gets the ball away, good style. Dave Watson jogs back. Picks it up, acres of room, feeds the ball away. Carl Hall steps inside, beats one tackle. Carl Hall will not go down. Bradford are at it again.
Yeah, Carl Hall there, just showing a little bit of pace and strength as Heron comes away with the ball, drops the ball inside to Powell. Powell out of the tackle, and Powell striding out. He's got Derek Fox on the inside, but Fox just not able to take that return pass there from...
According to my count, which isn't the most accurate in the world, that's Warrington's first. Shelford's release Chris Rudd. Rudd takes a tackle midfield. Mackie's organising the troops, calling the shots. Derbyshire's away on a run. Heron joins in the party on the tackle. Warrington have stacked deep right. Yestin Harris trying to force the issue midfield. Picks up 3 yards running. Plays the ball. Here's Mackie. Mackie looks for runners. Misses out Bateman for Penny. Penny runs at New Love. Takes the tackle. Ball's played. Bateman throws it in field. This is Hilton. Well, New Love. Paul New Love. Strike weapon, getting work on defence there. Kelly Shelford's jinking midfield, has fed Bateman. Bateman goes to the boot, Bateman's on the chase, Watson sweeps up, end of attack. Watson steps through 2 tackles, falls over. Kelly Shelford puts an end to the run. This is Brian McKebby, Bradford playing exhibition football. Kebby tackled by Mackey, it's all happening.
Well, once again there we saw the value of Dave Watson. Didn't really seem to turn it on at Headingley last week, but certainly turning it on here at Wilderspool this afternoon from that broken play, making good yardage as the big fella takes the drive up again. Had a good game, Big Roy, this afternoon, made a lot of good yardage for his Bradford Norden teammates as Fairbank on the ball now. Fairbank will look to offload the ball, but nobody really coming there this time. It's Medley from acting half-back. Medley pops the ball over the top, and referee giving the knock on there, but That looked to me as though Derek Fox was facing his own post. There's that little bit of a wild pass there from Paul Medley. But the man in the middle, he's the man who makes the decision, so it'll be Warrington with a set of 6, and it looks like Gary Chambers coming off the park, struggling a little bit there.
So Bob Jackson wearing 12 onto the park. Gary Chambers limping on his right leg. One would hope that's not a recurrence of his knee injury. Whatever, Jackson's into the pack. Time's ticking by, still 18 points in the game. Now in the 12th minute of the second half. That's Rudd taking the tackle from Darryl Shelford. Ball goes central. Mark Hilton steams it in. 20 metres now inside the Bradford Northern half. Here's Jackson charging into the defensive line, being pushed across the field. 3 metres in from the touchline. Here's Mackey. Shelford, Bateman, Shelford, Penny, Leigh Penny keeping the ball tied in. Had no option but to do just that. Fairbank with the tackle. Leigh Penny's took a bit of a bang. John Connolly stops the clock. Leigh Penny feels the pain. Next game up for the Warrington club is Hull KR. At Hull KR, Warrington managed to snatch a loss there last season. Important that they sort themselves out today, however. Jonathan Davis absent with a calf injury, picked up in the shambolic Wales win on Friday night. Tony Rothwell attending to Leigh Penny. If Leigh Penny couldn't carry on, Warrington would find themselves a man down. Everybody's on the bench has been used. Gary Chambers is sat there with a knock presently. Craig Teitzel could still come back on. And here go the Warrington attacking unit. Kelly Shelford's fed Gary Sanderson. Sanderson there, taking a triple tackle. Kick time for Brian Johnson's men. Warrington need to score now. Mackey chips the defence. Clark takes it super style. He's then tackled 3 metres out from his own try line. Time ticking by. It's looking good for Bradford, Mal.
Yeah, the defence holding out quite well there, and Warrington did seem to be a little bit lacking ideas, but I think it's the pack for Norden that's really laid the foundation as Gratian makes valuable yardage there. Norden working the short side with Carl Hall, but Hall stopped in his tracks there by Rudd and Elliott on that far side. Trevor Clark, it's the ball onto Derek Fox, and that's a big long ball down, but well taken there by Leigh Penny. Penny coming across and steps inside beautifully there as Penny going for the corner and just losing his footing there as the cover come across.
Thanks, Mal. Warrington at long last. Thanks to Leigh Penny making an incisive attack. This is Mackey. This is Kelly Shelford. Switches it. Dave Elliott looks for options. Finds Gary Sanderson. Sanderson's going. Midway inside the Bradford Northern red zone. Tackles in hand. 10 metres to go. Greg Mackey feeds it for Bob Jackson. 3 metres shy of the try line. Warrington need to get the points on the board. I can't stress that enough. There's a kicking goal. Brian McKebby tidies it up. Brian McKebby doing a miracle there to save his club. No points forthcoming, but at long last, Warrington stitching it together, spending time in the opposition red zone. I'll have a look at the clock. Stewart on cameras reckon Bateman touched it. Mr. Connolly doesn't. End of story. In the 55th of 80, there is still time for Warrington to force the issue. Here's Leigh Penny, breaks the half, picks up 10, steps. Ankle tap there by Neil Summers. Warrington trying to claw the way back into the game. Here's Dave Elliott, another Cumbrian player at Wilderspool, gets it away. Warrington have stacked deep right. Speeding up the play the ball, Mark Hilton sucking in defence on a big drive. Rowe coming out from the Fletcher end, the Wolfpackers loving it. Alan Bateman is in possession, takes an upstairs tackle from Gratian, the ball's out. Mr. Connolly missed it again, 6 more tackles. Everything's frantic. Somebody needs to put the foot on the ball and take a second. Mackey will score, there's the try. Greg Mackey finally crosses the line in the 55th minute. just what the Warrington club needed. That's their first try of the afternoon. I'll hand over to Malcolm to describe the try.
Well, yeah, it was another set of 6 there that John Conley gave Warrington, and quick ball out there, and Mackey just split the defence, dived triumphantly over the line, and as Bill said, it's Warrington's first try of the afternoon. It's now Warrington 8, Northern 22, and Northern under a lot of pressure in this early opening quarter of this second half. And obviously Derek Fox now with his boys behind the post there, having a little team talk, saying, settle it down, we've got this game in the bag, but don't let's throw it away. Harris with the resulting conversion attempt to the right hand side of the uprights. Slots the ball between the posts, so Warrington reduce the arrears a little bit further, and Bradford about to make a substitution. John Hamer coming onto the park, and Paul Gratian had a good game, but it's a prop for a prop, so Hamer into the throw, and Hamer's job will be to drive that ball up for Northern as Derek Fox gets the ball away again from the centre spot. Mackey takes the ball on his own 10 metre, runs at the Bradford defence, and big tackle there by Roy Powell. Brings the wire scrum half down as Hilton drives out again, and Warrington with the tails up a little bit now. Bob Jackson back on the field, good yardage up to the halfway line. And the wire fans now starting to get behind the players as Warrington once again, the little run round there as Penny came into the line. Sorry, my mistake, it was Rudd, but this is Penny on the ball now, stepping, but Derek Fox finally holds him to ground as referee signals the last tackle, so Shelford will put this ball along the floor. That's a good kick by Shelford, and Carl Fairbank giving a penalty away there for obstruction. Fairbank obstructing Kelly Shelford there as that little chip came through, so possibly an easy 2 points here for Harris. As the roar goes up from one end, Warrington spectators not liking Carl Fairbank's action there, but so Harris a chance to bring the score within 10 points, and of course that means 2 tries and 2 conversions for the wire to get back in front. Harris just settling himself down, and John Conley anticlimax there as the ball just fell off its little mound of sand and start all over again, and John Conley just signalling to the timekeepers to stop the clock. So Harris once again just steadies himself. And that ball, what a bad miss there, as that ball really swung off to the left-hand side of the uprights. A chance there, and Harris and his teammates may rue that kick at the end of this game, but Bradford need to get back into the game as Fox drops out again, and the ball picked up by Penny. Penny coming at speed again. So let's hand you back to Bill for another set of 6 from Warrington.
Yeah, those 2 points went begging. We'll have to see at the end of the game how important that is. However, Warrington have got possession, are running harder, breaking the defensive line. That's Jackson taking the tackle there. This is Thursfield, Mackey. Sloppy ball, Shelford tidies it up. Elliott has the hole. Great tackle, Trevor Clark. Here's Mackey again. Kelly Shelford surging far side. Warrington keeping it alive, great style. Yestin Harris needs to stay in field. One result that's no use to anybody here today is a draw. Bear that in mind. Game's going on. Here's Mackey. Leigh Penny. Nothing doing there. It's a handover. Breakdown in communication. Possession for Bradford.
Well, thanks, Bill. A little bit of a mistake there by Warrington, probably not realising they're on the six. So John Hamer, first touch of the ball since coming on to replace Paul Gratian. Brian McKebby from the acting half-back just takes the ball up. Bradford need to work the ball now back into the Warrington half of the field as Clark goes from acting half back again, but well policed there by two Warrington defenders. Powell once again. Powell just getting that ball at the second attempt. The ball looked as though it was going to pop out the back door, but Fox puts the kick in. That's a good kick into the corner for the chasers, and finding a good touch there on the 10-metre mark. So Bradford working that ball back down into the Warrington half, and that's where they need to be. Keep Warrington penned. Not really put anything together in the opening 15 minutes of this second half, but the Bradford travelling band of spectators starting to get behind the team, but Mackey gets the ball in and out of the scrum. Heron, Summers and Watson in there to effect the tackle and drive the Warrington centre back, and straight away a penalty there against Bradford Northern, and somebody said something again, so in discipline by Northern. That's twice this afternoon, and a chance for Warrington now to work the ball back into their own half of the field.
Thanks, Miles. 16 minutes to go. Score reading: Warrington 10, Bradford 22. In discipline and back chat there, giving Warrington easy yardage. Need to turn it into points, however. Here's Mark Hilton, pushing back the defensive line, 7 metres shy of the half. Jackson makes the 7 metres, tackled at the half. League aspirations becoming gloomier and gloomier at this point for the home team. However, Chris Rudd's going. Chris Rudd there, picking up 10 metres. Warrington searching for the opening. This is Mackey. Will have to take the tackle. Keeps the ball tied in. Warrington then in the shape of Shelford for Sanderson. It is kick time. Not enough yardage picked up there. Look for the high kick. Look for everybody to try and get underneath it. Shelford chips the defence. That's well taken by Newlove. Newlove steps. Newlove threatening to go. Last ditch tackling. Here's come Bradford again.
So Newlove taking a good ball there, and no marker there. So Newlove trying to catch the defence unawares. Played the ball to himself. So John Hamer will just settle things down and take that drive up the middle of the park. He's over the halfway line. Trevor Clark onto Powell. Powell once again props, straightens up, but Warrington doing a good job there with Hilton clamping man and ball as Heron offloads the ball to Fox. Fox dancing, weaving, bobbing, stepping about, and last tackle signal by the referee. So Watson's going to put the little chip over the top, and Watson pulled out of the way, looking for the obstruction there. John Conley saying he took a dive, so Warrington come up with the ball and bringing the ball away. Derbyshire, a good run there, stepped out of 2 tackles, but finally fell to the tackle of Shelford as his namesake, Kelly Shelford, on the opposing side, and that looks a bad injury, does that. A little bit of a bad knock there. So Mackey there took the tackle and seemed to go down quite heavily there, and John Connolly straight away stopping the game. As Northern have Steve McGowan, a welcome return for McGowan. He's coming on for Carl Hall. McKebby it is that's coming off, not Carl Hall. So McGowan on the wing, not been in the first team since that shock transfer that Bradford Northern put him on the transfer list. And of course McGowan in his testimonial season this year at Bradford Northern. So Warrington with the ball again. It's Shelford offloads a nice ball, but Mackey once again feeling the tackle, and it's the last tackle signal. Is Shelford will chip over the top, but this time straight down the throat of Dave Watson as Watson bobs, dances, weaves about, looks to pop the ball out of the back door, but this time 3 Warrington defenders very, very quickly round the Bradford fullback. Fox onto Heron. Heron sells the dummy again, and we've not really seen the flowing passing of Bradford Northern in this second half as they did in that first half when they ripped Warrington apart. Northern keeping the ball tight. Hamer just taking the drive up there as Carl Hall once again coming in looking for work. Tries to duck under the tackle there of Bob Jackson, but Heron needs the long ball out now too. Newlove steps inside. He got McGowan on the outside, but the cover coming across well there with Mackey and Bateman, and Fox puts the angle kick in again, and that ball goes out on the full, so that'll be a 22 tap to Warrington, but Bradford need to keep Warrington penned in their own half of the field, and touch judge just calling the physio on once again. It looks like a blood bin for Greg Mackey. Mackey trying to wipe the blood on his own shirt, and ref just having a look again. He showed the blood bin card there, but allowing the game to restart as Warrington take the first drive out. Give you back to Bill for this set of 5 for Warrington.
Well, Greg Mackey there trying the best that he could to stop the blood because there's nobody to come on. However, there's Jackson who comes onto the ball hard, takes a tackle at the halfway line. Time ticking by, remember, 2 full scores in the game, 12 minutes left. Bateman's unloaded for Harris. Harris picks up big meters, coughs the ball up. Bradford look to build again.
So once again a mistake. Watson dancing and bobbing about, bounces off of Hilton, offloads the ball to Fox, but Fox just couldn't get away there from the clutches of Gary Sanderson, but it's Bradford back in possession with Neil Summers. Summers drops the ball off inside to McGowan, his first touch of the ball since coming on as substitute for Brian McKebby, as Medley on the charge down that far side, trying to get the handoff going, but Fox, Fairbank props, turns the back, pops one out to Heron. Heron spinning there, is looking for the runners coming, but nobody really coming running there. Off the Bradford loose forward. Fox once again. Watson dancing about again, gets a good ball to Trevor Clark. Clark straightens up onto Powell. This is good interplay by Bradford as the big fella strides out. Had Daryl Shelford with him, but last tackle signal as Derek Fox is going to put the ball into the corner. That ball sliding through, and Carl Hall will get the try for Northern in the corner once again. It was the precision kicking of Derek Fox. All the Warrington players stopped there, thought the ball was going to go dead, and Carl Hall nipped in round the back door and just dropped on that ball before it went over the in-goal area. And 1 or 2 of the Warrington spectators now in front of us. So Harris to get the game underway again, this time drops the ball short, but there's the little general Derek Fox underneath it, hands on to Watson, and this time Watson dumped to the floor by Bob Jackson. Hamer will just take the drive up, drives in at the Warrington defence. The big fella Roy Powell done a lot of damage this afternoon. And of course it was Powell's strength that got Bradford in a position for that last try, and that's a big long kick by Derek Fox, and the breeze just picking up a little bit here this afternoon, that ball going out on the full, but Fox will want to keep Warrington down in that half of the field. So about 9 minutes left here at Wilderspool, and of course, as we said a little bit earlier, this could be a chance for Bradford Northern to ensure that there could be a trip to Brisbane on the cards, but Warrington coming away again up to the halfway line, and the ball going out loose there, and it was Carl Fairbank who flew over the top there and Fox making a bad mistake. The ball popping up there for Derek Fox. Bradford getting possession back, and not often you see the Bradford skipper make a mistake like that, but everybody's human at this game as Mackie gets the ball into the scrum, decides to sell the little dummy, switches it round the short side, but Fox brings a good tackling on Bateman as the long ball out to Shelford. That's a good ball. The Bradford cover getting across there with Dave Heron. Northern player down there, it looks like Summers, that took a little bit of a knock in that tackle. Up on his feet again, so Warrington driving in again. It's Bob Jackson, shimmies, straightens up Carl Fairbank, and my man of the match this afternoon, Trevor Clark for Northern, had a good busy darting game, but it's Warrington coming again, and Shelford just lucky to get that ball at the second attempt, but 5 tackle signal by the referee as Mackie says we're going to put the high one up the bomb. This time it comes back on itself, and Wire need to keep the ball going, and Shelford picking that ball up. A little bit of a suspicion of a knock on there as that ball came down. Daryl Shelford doing a good sweeping job there at the back, so Northern back in possession as Summers straightens up, runs at his opposing standoff. Ball pops out as Watson once again dancing, bobbing about, but it's Jackson halts the progress as Fairbank coming down the short side. Fairbank turning his back, looking for the runners, but nobody coming there for Northern as John Hamer. He'll just take the drive up again, met the customary 7 or 8 yards. Trevor Clark from acting half back again. Last tackle, so kick time for Northern, or David Heron pops the ball over the top, and McGowan drives the ball forward, but well taken there by Bateman. So Warrington back in possession as we come into the last 5 or 6 minutes of this game. Thursfield takes the tackle there of Roy Powell as he tries to prise open the Bradford defence. Hilton drives up again, but a big hit once again by Medley. That's about his 4th big tackle this afternoon that Medley's had. Shelford looks to get his team moving again, but Bradford done a good job snuffing out the wire danger man this afternoon as Jackson takes the drive up. Mackie, the long ball out. Elliott elects to run at Clark. Spins out of the tackle there of Clark, gets out of the tackle of Medley, and Heron finally comes to sweep up at the back, but it's last tackle signalled. Well, Mackie popped the ball over the top again into the corner, and Watson back there safely goes down on the ball, so that'll be a drop out underneath the post there as Harris set off into that corner. Nice little angle kick by Mackie as Wyatt about to make another substitution. It's Teitzel coming back on, Bob Jackson coming off, so Teitzel, the big Aussie forward, back on for the last 5 minutes, but I think Brian Johnson's left it a little bit late for his men as Derek Fox gets the ball out. Give it back to Bill for another set of sixes. Mackie sets off at the Bradford defence.
Cheers to Mal, his club. I've had a good afternoon. I'll have a look at the clock. 4 minutes to go, 16 points in it. Be a major shock now if Warrington were to force anything. However, Mark Hilton in midfield taking a big shot there from Medley. Warrington will try and force the error, the gap, try and get the scoreboard moving again. Here's Thursfield for Greg Mackie. Mackie looks for runners, finds Shelford. Well, offside, forward pass, call that whatever you want. Just about sums up Warrington's day. I'm speechless, don't know what to say, so here's Mal.
Well, I think that was more a little bit of the ball popping up and a player going for it, but a chance for Derek Fox to drive the ball back towards the halfway line, and a set of 6. Shelford takes the first drive up, tries to spin out of the tackle, and Teitzel brings the Bradford centre down. Roy Powell had a tireless worker this afternoon for Bradford Northern, as is all the pack, but I can single out Trevor Clark as the one that's done a lot of damage. But Hamer, fresh pair of legs, been on the field about 10-15 minutes as Bradford come again. Heron drops the ball inside to Fairbank. Fairbank has the runner with Powell with him. Powell, the little shimmy, turning his back, but Derek Fox just overrunning him a little bit there. Watson, Heron drops the ball inside, taken well there by Summers at the second attempt, but once again it's the last tackle signalled by John Connolly, the referee, as Derek Fox, the drop goal attempt, and the Bradford Speckies tell us that Northern's skipper, third drop goal of the afternoon, extends the lead by a further point for Bradford Northern as we come into the dying minutes of this game. A good thinking there by the Northern skipper. It means that from the kick out, Northern will regain possession. Warrington 10, Bradford Northern 27. And of course those 2 very, very important league points that maintains Northern position as number 1 in the Stones Bitter. The big fella takes the ball there, Roy Powell. Just 1 minute left on our stopwatch here as Carl Hall comes into the centre of the park, looking for a bit of work, trying to wriggle out of the tackle, but finally offloads the ball. Referee saying not held as Trevor Clark onto Derek Fox. Fox had nobody in support there, but once again good support play by the Bradford skipper. Fairbank sells the little dummy, drops the ball inside. McGowan couldn't take it. The ball with Mark Forster now, but Newlove just hanging on to the boots there of Forster. So probably a last chance for Warrington to put some points on the board, but the tackle there on Sanderson by Roy Powell as Northern come in again with the tackling machine, Medley and Hamer on that far side as Teitzel sets off down the short side, and Neil Summers hanging round his bootlaces there, halts the big fella. Mackey spins the ball out, Shelford the long ball over the top, and Newlove in very, very quickly there to snuff out the danger of Bateman. Mackey coming up the short side, puts the little kick over the top. That'll be a set of 6 to Warrington. It touched a Bradford player as it went into touch. So the dying minutes of this game will give you back to Bill as Warrington head and ball inside the Bradford half.
Yeah, that's it. Game's up. Last minute. Scored on the scoreboard reads Warrington 10, Bradford 27. Title hopes now finished. Over kaput. Warrington will have to try and battle hard. Stay in the top 4. Look for the home draw. Meanwhile, Justin Harris hogging the limelight there, running in midfield. Here's Paul Derbyshire. It's all about depth of character now for the remaining league games for the Warrington club. Bradford and Wigan have got to play each other twice, so everything's not completely dead. Here's Sanderson for Lee Penny. Marvellous tackle from Steve McGowan. There's a hooter. I'm not so sure if that's the full-time hooter. I don't actually think it was. But it's another moment of comedy on an otherwise black afternoon for the Warrington club. Scrum's forming. I was distracted by that little sound then. It will be Fox to feed for the Bradford Northern club. 5 tries for Bradford today, just the one for the Warrington club. Bradford have been absolutely great value for the win. Have come here, have bossed the game, competed well, and will go away top of the league with a 2-point cushion. Bradford moving it through the midfield. As I've said, Warrington's next game is Hull KR away. Then they've got Salford at home. They will look to take maximum points from that. We'll regroup, look at the league table, see what's realistically possible. We have a whistle for a high tackle. I'm Bill Stewartson. I hope you've enjoyed listening to my commentary today. Now I'll hand you across to Malcolm Lane to wrap up the game and summarise events.
So Derek Fox there, finds touch in, back inside the Warrington half. After that high tackle on John Hamer. Hamer in at first receiver again, takes the drive up towards the Warrington 25. Powell spinning round again, but Norden just needed to take that ball up as the final hooter goes here at Warrington. Bradford Norden coming out victors, and the Norden roar goes up from our left-hand side, but 2 valuable league points, and as Bill said, probably that's good night Vienna for Warrington's championship hope, but Bradford's keep theirs alive. It was that devastating first half when Norden went in 22-4 in the lead, but honours relatively even in this second half. Try a piece as Derek Fox and the players salute the Bradford travelling supporters, and it'll be quite a happy, pleasant drive back over the M62 tonight on that team coach. And as we've said, Norden with that 2-point cushion over Wigan at the top, Wigan to play twice, and although they're out of the Challenge Cup, there's still that big prize at the end of the season, with the possibility of a trip to Brisbane for that World Club Championship on the 1st of June. But final score here from Warrington, Warrington 10, Bradford Norden 27.